In this video, I will be taking on the Ender Dragon, building a skyscraper, and attempting to kill the hardest boss that Minecraft has ever made, the Warden. All the while surviving 100 days in the new 1.19 Minecraft update. Now this video took me 2 full weeks to make, so if you go on to enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. And without further ado, here are 100 days. To start off the world, I decided to use the best seed that I could think of before I loaded up into the middle of a forest. Yes, I gave myself a starter chest. Oh, does that make me weak? Oh, my little sussy baka. You know, I'll have you know that I'm actually a little baby tadpole needed himself a bed, so I used the power of friendship and an axe to give a few sheep a one-way ticket to Notch before I vibe checked a few trees to, I don't know, use for something. And because wood is nothing without a stone, I found a nice hill that I could start a mine at. This lasted all of about 5 minutes before I remembered that Mojang changed the coal generation, so I had to go and smelt some charcoal for the first time in 3 years. As it smelted, the sun set on a grateful universe, and this little tadpole laid his head to rest for the first time on the sheep carcasses. Day 2 started as any day would. Killing fish with a pickaxe. Look, man's gotta eat, mind your business. And then I found some coal so that I wouldn't have to make Team Trees cry again by burning more wood. I then used this coal to cook some of my fish. Yes, I did forget that campfires are a thing. Before I tapped into my Missouri roots to start a farm. It did not go well. Defeated, I decided to drown my sorrows in the mine, where I then remembered that everything wants to kill me still, and I cried myself to sleep once again. Day 3, I went on a walk to go clear my head, and I actually found my first bit of sugarcane. It's not much, but eventually I will need it to get my enchanting table, so get off my case, Dad! Anyway, I found some iron while I was out, so I smelted that and used it to make my first iron pickaxe, which I then used to stretch the mine all the way down to y equals 58.
You know, back in my day, y equals 11 was all the rage.
Go back to bed, Grandpa, you don't have any teeth. But the vibes were way off, so I hightailed it back to the surface and got a full 8 hours once again. As all good children of the 1890s would, I headed back to the mine on day 4, where luck would have it, I found a whole 14 iron the entire day. I hate this game so much. I then watched some home renovation videos and decided to girl boss my way into a totes gorge new staircase. I finally made a bucket to, you know, not burn to death in lava, and I avoided all of the world's problems by going back into the mines. I need a better hobby. Because I was a good noodle, my wife's boyfriend let me stay up all through the night into day 5, so like a PogChamp big boy I am, I mined, and mined, and mined. It sucked. I only found gold, and I hate everything! On day 6, oh my gosh, yes, diamonds! Okay, screw that, I'm heading to the surface. I flexed my whole 2 diamonds to any wildlife I could find before I realized, oh yeah, I'm out of coal. Just shut up. I know I said I was done. I want to be done. I thought I was done, but guess who has no coal? This is a sad existence. Tadpole's log, day 7. I'm 1 week in, and I still wonder what this world has to offer. Is it me? Am I the problem? I know nothing but despairs in my day in this. Oh my gosh, let's go! More diamonds! I'm still 1 short from an enchanting table, but we take our small victories where we can get them. So, baby Tadpole took his lumps and walked out of the mine a new man. All true gamers have at some point. Tadpole crept from his cave to find that day 8 was already upon him. With 4 whole diamonds to my name and a world of possibilities, I was ready to take on the world. You see, caves are pretty cool. Okay, yeah, live it up. In my opinion, 1.18 has ruined this game because I literally had to have 2 separate mines, 1 for coal and 1 for diamonds. And for some reason, diamonds are rarer than a child that isn't named Aiden with 2 Y's who doesn't watch wait, hold on, where am I? No, don't tell me I'm lost. Do you know how to get back? Please someone point me in the right direction. I am a Minecrafter, you will respect me. On day 9, I decided larceny might make me feel better, so I stole whatever I could get my hands on from the nice villagers on a mountain and continued my search for home. As the great Eagle Scout I am, I used my expert level coordinates that I had screenshotted from earlier, and I eventually found my way home, and I kept farming because I didn't have my life in order, and I didn't want to have to admit to those grubby little fish again that I wanted more food. Then I put on some juicy Minecraft honey block mukbang ASMR and went to sleep. By day 10, I realized that I was broke Tadpole too because I still didn't have a house, so I got to work cutting down some trees. Mr. Beast, I am so sorry. I swear I'll plant him back later. Then I spent all of 5 seconds trying to work on what little farm I had and went to sleep. Day 11 was just more deforestation and farming. It ain't much, but it's honest work. You know how it be. The next morning, construction started on my new house, and oh, come on, why is it raining? Whatever. I got most of the front facade finished, but my indecisiveness made me redo this a good 4 times before I got it right. Hey, at least I got a front porch. Between days 12 and 13, I took a break to reevaluate our progress so far. At this point, I'm already 12% of the way through this 100 days, but I didn't have any iron armor, a proper farm, a finished house, or even an enchanting table to my name. So I ran away to go find some cows. And I didn't. But I did find some nice pumpkins to add to the farm. And birdies! Birdies! You want to be his friend? We have 2 little birdies! Yes!
Get on my shoulder. I'll kill you both. I'm aggressive in a bad way. I got a temper. You'll learn that quick.
Did I find cows? No, but I found friendship, and that was priceless. The next day, a skeleton gave me the vibe check of the century.
Would you die already?
But I lived like a pog champ. To celebrate, I went looking for cows again and found one.
Don't forget the sheep.
I then put on some clown makeup to go look for even more cows, which took me further than I had ever ventured before. I eventually found them, but these ladies were not having it, so I did what all good frogs do and threatened to turn them into steak.
Get over here! I'm sending you to the glue factory!
Eventually, I managed to get them home while fighting off a horde of meanies that just wanted a slice of old Tatty Daddy before resting my noggin. With these new animals as my children, secured safely in their pen, I got back to working on the house. I knew it was going to take a while to breed these cows and get all of the sugarcane that I needed to make my enchanting table, so I wanted to stay near them so that they wouldn't be out of render distance. Now, I'm no carpenter, but you gotta admit, this house does look pretty fly so far. Sadly, I ran out of granite and andesite, so I had to do a bit of mining, but we are almost finished with the house. Day 16 was more of the same. I ended up running out of materials again, so I had to go back to the mine before I eventually came back up and finished the roof, and then we started adding some flooring. Day 17, I remembered, oh yeah, I own a farm, so I spent most of the day punching the ground.
Local YouTuber tendedtadpolebiz has reportedly touched grass.
I then used the wheat from the farm to give my cows a little "Hey, yo!" before I was rudely assaulted by a zombie and went home. The farming grind continued into day 18, getting more sugarcane and potatoes until I remembered, oh wait, I didn't finish the roof. So I broke a few OSHA violations to hop up on my roof and seal up the cracks. I then said to heck with it and just kept working on the house well through the night. During the night, a cold wind kept running through my house and I realized I hadn't put windows in, so I jumped into the river so that I could Anyway, I added a door, finished the walls, and made this house officially a home. But then my cows wouldn't shut up about how hungry they are, so it was back to farming. But don't worry, I murdered the cows the next day. This is actually a really fun part about the challenge that only happened because I was live on Twitch. Follow me there if you're not already. Being the broke tadpole that I am, when somebody offered a bounty of $20 to kill all of the cows, I humbly obliged. I used their skins to upgrade the enchanting table before I ran out of coal once again, so I had to whisper sweet nothings to this witch as I spent the night mining. As day 20 became 21, I said farewell to my remaining cows before revoking their life privileges. I felt bad that the cows were dead, so I did the only humane thing and immediately tried to replace them. On the way, I ransacked a villager hut because it's not Minecraft without war crimes, and I began coaxing the new herd back to their home. Somehow, this new herd was even worse than the last one, and I ended up giving the ultimate sacrifice to protect these lazy bovines.
Cows! Off your ass! Pay attention! We are in the danger zone right now. These mobs are not playing games. They want your life. Come on. Keep coming. All right, bob and weave, 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 bob and weave. I gotta run. I gotta run. I gotta run. I gotta run. I gotta. Oh no! 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 Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Okay. Just to the, we're taking to the sky. I have no other recourse. We're taking to the sky. Cows, you, I swear to God! Ah! Damn it!
Furious, I forcibly brought them back home where I taught them what happens when you piss off Tadpole. Somewhere in there, it became day 22, and I decided I was gonna run away from the cows for the injustice they committed against me. So, I ran down to the mines to harness some obsidian, and I ventured out to the Heck Dimension. In the Nether, I actually got one of the luckiest spawns I have ever seen, and I spawned right next to a Nether fortress. I decided to go exploring before a wither skeleton came over to hug me, and I got scared and ran home. I still haven't forgiven these cows, but I bred them anyway, and I used more of their carcasses, and got the enchanting table all the way up to 28 levels. I am so close. I then hit some hay and hit the hay. On day 23, I decided I was finally finishing this enchanting table. So I sat around the farm until enough cows had ceased to exist so that I had the books to max out the enchanting table.
Hey, idiot! You don't have 30 levels!
But then I got sad, so I went down to the mine to try and get the levels that way. This turned out to be 5,000 IQ moment because I found a zombie spawner and I will have infinite XP from it. Days 24 and 25 were stupidly spent making an XP farm purely by memory as my Twitch chat collectively had an aneurysm because I had no idea what I was doing. At some point, I realized I would need kelp for this farm, so I illegally operated a boat across the open waters without a license. I had a minor disagreement with a wandering scammer before I re-entered the Heck Dimension to get the soul sand I would need for a water elevator. Work continued into day 26, where I forgot that I'm not Aquaman, and well,
I'm not gonna lie, it'd be pretty funny if I drown. So the plan is just get the kelp all the way. Where's the water pocket? No, I had a water pocket up here. Where's the water pocket? No, shoot! No, 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 get down! No!
It then then took until day 27 to recover all my items, but I couldn't stay too mad because I was basically finished with the XP farm. With my newfound killing machine, I sat at the bottom and committed heinous atrocities against zombie kind. I still had murder on my mind day 28, but on day 29, I finally reached 30 levels. I used these levels to get my first enchant, Fortune 3. This came in dummy handy because I had been holding off on 2 diamond veins and I ended up getting a total of 33 diamonds almost instantly. Despite these new goodies, the IRS still wanted more, so I spent most of the next days grinding XP. I kept vibe checking zombies well into day 30 until I realized it was high time that I iced out my wrists with some absolute drip. Once I got back up to 30 levels, I went to enchant some of this drip, but apparently the table is an absolute tadpole hater because it was offering up duds, so it was back to zombie bonking. Farm, enchant, zombie bonk, repeat.
You get the idea.
At this point, I was sick and tired of hitting my head on the roof of the mine that went down to the XP farm, so at the start of day 32, I did some nice renovations to the stairs. And then it was back to... If you don't mind, I actually wrote a poem for days 33 and 34. Let me just... I killed the zombies to get XP. Now baby zombies are scared of me. I feel bad that I killed their folks. JK lol, I hate those blokes. After the end of day 34, I ended up taking another break to regroup. By this point, my armor isn't great, but I was really getting bored of grinding away at XP, and it is already day 35. So at this point, I decided I have enough armor and tools that I could realistically beat the Ender Dragon, so preparations began. Despite my clear and obvious successes I had had earlier in the Nether, I had almost no blaze rods for the Eyes of Ender, so my first task was to go back and mark some flying fire boys. These would also serve a dual purpose because I was going to turn to the ways of the witch and start brewing some potions. With the blaze rods in hand, I returned to the mines on day 36 to grab some extra gold and iron that I could eventually use for things like golden apples, anvils, extra buckets, or whatever else I thought I needed. Let's be honest, I'm not a good planner. Day 37, I kept mining until I actually found some extra diamonds, so I hit up the XP farm again for a few minutes and went back to the surface, hoping for a lucky enchant. It did not happen. And at this point, I was mostly waiting for 2 things, ender pearls and phantom membranes, both of which I would need to wait until nightfall for, so I spent the rest of my daytime playing with my cows. As night fell, I ventured into the darkness to kill some Oh, come on!
Why is it always raining?
Awaiting the cessation of precipitation, I changed my location to a hellish nation. My Twitch chat actually reminded me that Endermen will also spawn in the Nether, so I began constructing a bridge across the lava so that I could hopefully find some. The Nether sucks, they tried to kill me, and I ran home crying. Night fell as I re-entered the land of the living, so I went in search of Endermen once again. I ended up killing 3 Endermen, but I didn't get a single Ender Pearl out of it, which made me realize I only had sharpness and fire aspect on my sword. Now this may not sound like a big deal, but I'm going to need looting if I want to get things like shulker boxes, the wither, and more importantly, ender pearls. So it was back to the XP farm. Days 39, 40, and 41 were all spent grinding away at the XP farm because apparently I can get any enchant known to man except for looting. Meanwhile, the nights were all spent viciously slaying the undead in pursuit of the blue orbs. As the sun rose on day 42, I had a total of 6 Eyes of Ender to my name, halfway to where I wanted to be. I spent most of the day doing animal husbandry to get food as well as to get back to 30 levels, and I finally got that stupid looting sword that I'd been begging for. I was so impatient that I decided I'm not waiting for the rain to stop, so I went back to the Nether in search of more Endermen to relieve them of life privileges. The only issue is they mostly spawn in warped forests and soul sand valleys, and I found neither. This search continued into day 43 when I realized this was just a waste of time, so I returned home to fight Endermen in the plains the way Notch intended. By day 44, I was up to 8 Eyes of Ender, so I shifted my focus to potion brewing. As luck would have it, the only thing I was really missing for all of these potions was nether warts, which I had none. So it was back to the underworld. I traveled near and far through day 45 searching for these warts, only to remember I had a fortress right next to me where I could find them. The wither skeletons and blazes decided to make this the frickin' Alamo and protected the fortress with everything they had. But after a few close calls, well this- No! Oh my gosh! On day 46, the search party continued. I finally found those bumpy goodies on day 47 and got the hell out of hell. Since it was nighttime in the overworld, I gave it the old college try at finding Endermen, but to no avail. So I started a cute little wart farm in the corner of my house and did a little enchanting with the levels I had gained. With most of my pearls secured, that night I screamed at the sky for some phantoms to come smite me, but my game was bugged and they just weren't spawning for some reason. So instead, I recreated the 1920s Prohibition and started brewing my own icky juices. Day 48, I ran out of warts to make potions, so I spent most of the day farming while I waited for them to grow. Now this may sound like a waste, but I was shooting for 2 stacks of steak because if my last 100 days video taught me anything, I was going to be in the end for a hot minute, so I wanted to have a bunch of extra. Night eventually fell, and I finally had the chance to have a deep and meaningful conversation with some phantoms before I used their skin to make slow falling potions. As day 49 began, it really started to hit me. I was about to risk it all. If all went well, this was going to be my last day at home for some time, and I needed to finish everything up. So I finished up my potions so that I had strength, slow falling, instant health, made some extra snacks for the road, and I made the final changes to my armor before I got a good night's sleep. At the halfway point of my journey, I made an extra bucket to have infinite water, threw out my first eye of ender, and we were off. I knew these strongholds could spawn very far away, so I was expecting this to be a marathon. But it only ended up being about 1,000 blocks from my house, so only being a 10-minute journey was a-okay with me. I mined my way down until I found the stronghold, and where is the portal? Guys, this isn't funny. Where did you put the portal? Hello? Has anyone seen it? I was beginning to lose hope until I entered through the doorway, and there it was, the portal to Minecraft's final boss. I set down my bed and chest just in case things went south before I used up all of my remaining eyes of ender to activate the portal. And I knew things were about to get messy. On the morning of day 51, I jumped through the portal and was immediately reminded of just how dangerous this realm can be. No! 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 Okay, so I carefully bridged over to the main island and the fight began. I drank my first potion of slow falling and ascended the first of 12 obelisks to destroy the dragon's crystals. This dragon has hands though, and the efficacy of these potions was tested real quick. Unfazed, I was determined to take her down. One by one, her crystals fell until there was nothing standing between me and the protector of the end. She flew for what felt like an eternity until swooping down to her perch, allowing me to line up my shot. What is it? Ah! No! No! That didn't count! That does not count! That does not count! Piss off! Don't look at me! Don't look at me! More determined than ever, I let fly my many arrows to get her down below half health before finally running out and awaiting her descent. She kept trying to cheat by sending me flying again, but this time my potions of slow falling were still active, so I gracefully fell and landed my hits. Time and again, she took to the skies to avoid these hands, but eventually I reigned supreme. Yes! We got... Ow, that hurt! Yes! And in only 51 days of Minecraft, I have beaten the dragon. The festivities were short-lived, however, as I ventured through the end gateway in search of a pair of elytra. For most players, elytra are just a cool accessory, but if you've ever seen my main Minecraft world, you know I love building skyscrapers. And a pair of elytra are a necessity for this, because it's the difference between a small slip being instant death off the side, or a graceful flight down to just restock materials. I was absolutely blessed by Notch because I spawned really close to an end city. These cities can be tricky and dangerous, so I went straight for the end ship to find some elytra, and by day's end, I was already headed home. As the good Midwesterner that I am, the prospect of spending an entire day traveling home sounded like fun, so I poked my head out of the dirt on day 53 and we began walking.
Hey, stupid, you know you have elytra, right?
Yes, I do, but I wasn't using them on purpose because I only grabbed the one pair of them, so if something happened and they broke or got messed up, I would have been furious. So for the time being, they're being stored safely in a shulker box until I can get the proper enchantments on them to keep them safe. I made it back home later that night and it felt amazing to rest my head a champion of Minecraft. The real work started day 54 because in all of the commotion of the dragon fight, I didn't realize that I lost both my pickaxe and helmet when she vibe checked me.
I guess it did count after all, huh?
So I went back to mining to get replacements. This actually didn't take too long to find diamonds, and with 60 levels to work with, I made a new pickaxe, fixed up some of my other armor, and we were good as new. Without a good helmet, but let's be honest, who cares? Loneliness began to set in day 55, and I realized I didn't have any friends.
Yeah, we know, but what about the Minecraft video?
So how do you make friends? By building them a prison hut and kidnapping them to force them to make children for you. While I built the villager camp, I saw some local teenagers committing absolute tomfoolery next to me, so I broke their necks and skateboards to get a cool little flag. Along with the flag, the pillagers gave me some bad vibes or whatever it's called, so I decided to go share my pain with the local village. Why did I feel the need to do this? I don't know, seemed like a good time. The villagers were so thankful that I saved them from certain death that they gave me their princess's hand in marriage to take her away to my beautiful castle in a faraway land. She was not having it though. Help me help you. I need you to come this way, and I don't want any lip about it. Let's go. Get out. I will break that. So, we're gonna go. It's a good thing that you won't have a home. How does that make you feel? We have two options. Either you come with me or the pickaxe goes in your forehead. Good choice! But in the end, she made it home safely, and I eventually returned to the village to find her a husband. The first villager absolutely refused to forget her profession, so I was careful with the second one to destroy his former life before throwing him in a boat and taking him home. With nothing else to do, he gladly became a farmer, and I spent the rest of the day getting them food and beds so that they could have children. On day 58, I gave them their beds and food before nagging them for some grandchildren.
You know, I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to play with my grandkids before my knees go out. Oh, you're not ready for kids. Oh, that's okay. I just hope I'm still around when you are.
Eventually, I got tired of waiting, so I went back to farming because I knew eventually I would need to trade with the villagers to get emeralds. I came back and
Yes, they had a baby! Hi, cutie. I'm gonna name you Gilbert.
And with little Gilbert running around, I forced my princess to become a librarian over and over and over and over and over and over.
Oh my gosh, yes, mending!
But in this economy, I couldn't afford the book, so it was back to farming so I could eventually trade for emeralds. The villagers had another baby on day 60, so I played hide and seek with the little cutie for a while until the librarian reminded me that I was broke and I still needed to go work on the farm. Ungrateful little shit. It took most of the day farming to get enough potatoes to trade with the farmer, and by this point, Gilbert was already a man. They grow up so fast. So I gave him a brewing stand so I could offload all of the rotten flesh from the XP farm. This got me more than enough emeralds for a mending book, so I bought it from her and promptly added it to my pickaxe. That's how they get you though, because at this point I was hooked. So I spent all of day 61 farming, forcing the other baby to become a Fletcher, and selling whatever I could get my hands on to get more emeralds.
Please, I just need more mending books. You don't understand.
By day's end, my elytra finally had mending, and I was a happy tadpole. Oddly enough, day 62 was spent back at the XP farm. Now at first glance, my armor and tools look great, but I still want to get mending along with things like unbreaking, thorns, and whatever other enchantments I need, and I was going to need a lot more XP for this. But boy howdy did I not miss doing this. The next day, the mending itch came back, and it was itching hard, so I spent most of the day trying to farm. And I say trying because I only ended up getting 16 emeralds, but I made a bunch of new farms by the villager hut itself, so moving forward, I won't always have to run back and forth to get those juicy trades. With the stack of days behind me, it was just more of the same. The villagers were breeding like rabbits at this point, so I ended up making new profession blocks to give them jobs.
Bunch of dirty freeloaders.
Oh, also, I murdered several golems. Go ahead, take a guess. What do you think I did on day 65? No, please, go ahead, I'll wait. Now, as much as I'd like to say it stopped, the grind continued well through day 70. One thing I just forgot about Minecraft is just how much grinding you have to do to get all of the good loot that we take for granted in the late game. Now, unbreaking is the main culprit here because I spent over an hour breaking a lectern and placing it back down until it would give me the enchant I want. Now, did I murder 2 villagers that didn't give it to me sooner?
Here's what we're doing. I have the lectern, okay? Putting it down. Make the right choice. No going home.
There is no home to go to.
Make the right choice.
You chose incorrectly.
That is not the point.
I don't know. This is just a reminder to appreciate the good tools you have because I can guarantee you I will not be doing this again anytime soon. After a full 8 days of torturing them, the villagers finally told me to go to hell on day 71. So I did. Diamond armor was so spring 2020, so I needed to upgrade to Netherite. Now before you say anything, I know I used my pickaxe instead of TNT or beds like you're supposed to do, but, and this is true, I don't care. By the end of the day, I had 5 ancient debris to my name, but there was much more to be had. At the start of day 72, I added my newfound Netherite to my pickaxe.
That's called stonks, baby.
Before I decided the sheep and cows were getting way too comfortable and needed to be kept apart. I started building the new cow pen right off the side of my house so that I could keep a good eye on them before locking the mooey boys back in place. Now this may seem useful, but it was all just an elaborate ruse to keep my sheep separated so I could shear them to make beds for the nether TNT because my Twitch chat would not shut up about it. With the beds in hand, I went back to HE double hockey sticks to keep mining for netherite. This did not work out well and now I'm sad. But you know what cures sadness?
Netherite pants!
With my new snazzy threads, my German roots snuck out again and I was back to farming.
Ich muss immer farmen.
Ich habe nur 24 Smaragde bekommen, aber ich war zufrieden damit. Now, would it surprise you to know that on day 75, I finally began my first skyscraper? Because I didn't. But through the mystical wonders of farming, my elytra had both mending and unbreaking, allowing me to finally put them to use. Another day, because day 76 was back to the underworld in search of more ancient debris. I actually tried the bed method for realsies this time, and I am just not a fan. It might be a little faster than my pickaxe, but call me old-fashioned, my pickaxe doesn't light me on fire, so I call that a win. After returning to the overworld, my pickaxe, sword, and some of my armor desperately needed healing. However, the pickaxe was the only one blessed with mending at this point, so I spent all of days 77 and 78 devastating the landscape to please the villagers, enough that they would finally give me some mending books. So to reward myself for all this hard work, I spent all of day 79 vibe-checking zombies so that their life force would rejuvenate my items. Okay, I pinky promise this is the last time. Day 80, I was back to mining in the realm of lost souls, this time exclusively with my pickaxe. Again, try and convince me otherwise in the comments, but these beds are not doing it for me. Finally, on day 81, my hard work paid off and we had full netherite armor. But even with these purple clothes, I'm down to 19 days left, and so far I only have a meager house and a villager prison, daycare to my name. With this realization, day 81 was no time for celebration, so I got to work cutting down trees. As I mentioned earlier, if you're new here, my favorite thing to do in my main world is build skyscrapers, and I'm not gonna let some little challenge get in the way of that. The grind continued into day 82, and this forest was looking worse for wear, but the wood stocks were plentiful. I knew I was going to need roughly 14 stacks of each wood type, so despite the cries of the Lorax, I persisted. Later in the day, I faltered again, and I did a bit of farming and villager trading, but that was only to stay in their good favors. I started day 83 in the water getting sand, because you would not believe how much glass you need for skyscrapers. I then remembered the Great Chicago Fire and thought, yeah, maybe we don't make the skyscraper completely out of wood. Instead, I decided I was going to use deep slate because it fit the aesthetic of my other builds better. And is incredibly cheap. I still spent the rest of the day destroying the forest because it would ruin the view, but at this point it was just out of spite. I cannot understate just how expensive these skyscrapers are to build though, because literally all of days 84 and 85 were spent clearing land, gathering materials, and organizing those materials by the build site so that on day 86 we could finally break ground. I always build my skyscrapers in layers, and the first one is always the hardest because if I mess this up, it ruins the entire build. If my math was correct, this skyscraper was about to be 15 stories high, more than enough to kill me 2 times over, so I strapped on my elytra and got to work. Luckily for me, this building is meant to be a recreation of one that I originally did on my main 8-year-old survival world, so I didn't have to worry too much about messing it up. Anyway, montage time! Sadly, construction came to a screeching halt on day 88 because I ran out of deep slate. You know, one of the only 2 materials that I needed to build this entire thing. So I ended up spending most of the day mining, and trust me, this will not be the last time. And then work continued. Layer upon layer of the skyscraper was added day 89 so that on day 90 I could finally take a step back and look at what we've made. This building wasn't done, far from it, but I forgot just how majestic something like this could look, and I was so excited. What I was not excited for was the flooring, because in my infinite wisdom I forgot that oak wood looks way too similar to birch to use it, and so I set my heart on andesite as the flooring of choice. My wallet disagreed with this assessment, so it was back to the mine day 91. Eventually, I got enough andesite from one big vein, and by day's end, progress continued. Now, normally when I make these skyscrapers, every one of the floors has its own flooring, but I am already 11 days into this building, and I simply won't finish in time if I do that. So I ended up using about 1/10 of the andesite that I gathered to do the top and the bottom floors, and we began installing the windows. And this ended up being the most tedious part of the entire project. And that is because with a normal building that isn't 65 blocks off the ground, all you need to do to put the glass in is either use the floor or build a small scaffolding to put it in place. However, I essentially had to wrap the entire outer layer of this thing in glass while crouching off the side of a literal skyscraper. Then multiply that by the 15 stories tall this building is, and you can begin to see why the glass alone took me 4.5 in-game days or an hour and a half of real life time. With my time dwindling, we made a slight change of course. Instead of doing the entire base of the building in glass as well, I decided to switch to a more readily available material, deep slate. This was just as stupid too though, because I forgot I used all of my deep slate on a skyscraper, so this clown had to put a hard hat on and go back to mining. Now I know you probably think I'm just bad at counting and that's why this is taking forever, but I cannot reiterate just how much material goes into a building like this. To properly do the windows of just one part of the building took over a stack of glass. Now multiply that by the 4 sides and 15 stories tall that this building is takes over 60 stacks, and that's almost impossible to do in 100 days. In the end, the hard work absolutely paid off, and as the sun set on day 97, I took a step back to enjoy my creation. I mean, come on, this is beautiful! With 3 days left in my adventure, I set out for one final task. This new update brought a bunch of cool features that I wanted to explore, like frogs, allays, and a new mangrove biome, but I just ran out of time. With what little time I had left, I figured I'd only get the chance to explore one of them. So I chose the one that stood above the rest, the only unkillable mob in Minecraft, the Warden. For those of you who don't know, the Warden isn't technically unkillable, but he will 2-shot anyone in full Netherite armor, and so it was my mission to take his head. I mined all the way through day 98 with nothing to be found, and when all hope seemed lost, on day 99, I stepped foot into the Warden's territory. Now going into this, I knew nothing about the deep dark, and so I wanted to explore, but sadly, with one misstep, you gonna make noises if I jump down here? I had made a terrible mistake. I don't need that. Oh shit! That's the Warden! That's the Warden! Hi, buddy! How you doing? I instinctively ran back to the mine I had been digging, but his darkness effect was incredibly disorienting. Not knowing how big he was, I didn't know if he could enter my tunnel, so I decided to box myself in. All the while, he swung at me with sonic hits that were eating through my armor, and I didn't know if I was going to survive. I didn't know how he was hitting me, but I knew sitting in this little mine wasn't going to end well, so I ran back through the caves to get around him. But somehow he saw this coming, and he hit hard. Ah!
How'd he hit that? How'd he hit that? No, 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 no.
Seeing no other way of getting out of this, I did what got me killed on day 21 and took to the skies on a block pillar, hoping he couldn't hit me. This was genius! Unbeknownst to me, the Warden has a hit range beyond which even his sonic attack won't hit you. Meaning at this height, I was impervious to his attacks. And from my tower on high, I unleashed a downpour of arrows and beat Minecraft's only unkillable boss.
How many? Yes! Yes! I killed the Warden! I killed the Warden! Yes!
I have to be very quiet because it's 2 a.m.
But yes!
Then, thinking I was safe, I jumped down to gather my goodies, but upon hearing Warden 2 Electric Boogaloo, I booked it home.
Go, go, go! Get me out of here! I don't want this!
As I poked my head from the mine, day 100 was upon me. I was so grateful to still be relatively intact that I decided to make a trophy case to commemorate my achievements. Despite the fact that I died several times during this, I'm so proud of everything I got accomplished during this 100 days, and I wanted a nice memento for it. For old time's sake, I spent the rest of the day tending to my crops and watched the sun set on this amazing journey. And with that, I want to give a massive thank you to everyone who came out to watch this live. I streamed 95 of the days live on Twitch, and if you want to see me do cool stuff like this in the future, you can click the link in the description to go check me out there. And with that, if you enjoyed the video, it would really help me out if you left a like, and it would mean a lot if you stuck around and subscribed. Thanks for watching.